everyone. Thanks for joining me today. Today, Jennifer and I are back together doing a video. We're doing an update on kind of what's been going on with her because, as you know, if you've been watching videos that we've done together in the past, she has, as we all do, different experiences, but she has a very, what I will say, collective, even broader than the collective, but a collective experience. She typically is involved or aware of what is coming for the collective because she's involved in it some way energetically, and also assisting in helping shift and make changes and adjustments. And if that sounds a little trippy, that's what I think she talks a little bit about some of the things that she's going through and she's seeing. But there are some of us who actually are very, very involved in helping the collective move forward. She just happens to know it, right? And she knows the things that are going on. So she can kind of give us a glimpse into, I'll just say a higher perspective of understanding of what might be going on in our individual lives or what will be coming in the collective to some degree. Anyway, needless to say, we're going to do an update today, get reconnected with her. And what we're going to talk about today really kind of wraps around the whole idea of how weird time is now. By the way, it's going to get weirder. Just know that. I said this about 2 years ago to a friend, and I said, you're going to start experiencing time in a way you never have. It's not going to feel normal to you. And here we are, and it's just continuing to feel that way. Point is, we're going to talk a lot about time anomalies, how weird time is now, timelines, portals, and time travel, how all that kind of comes together and allows for that, the veil thinning, all of this. So we've hit on a few of these things before, but we're really getting into this today, and that's primarily what we're talking about. However, we hit on some other things as well. But what's really cool is I've been meaning to do this for some time, but I never really felt it was the right time or how I would introduce this. But what we end up talking about is time travel. And I say, you're going to hear this in the video where Jennifer and I are talking, I say, I should really share the video that I took after a number of sessions with two other women where we actually were communicating with our past life selves. Okay, and I'm going to set this up for you. I finally got smart when we were working together back in early 2000, I think it was 19. Yeah, I think it was early 2019. We had come together and we started working together, and it evolved into us being able to actually communicate with our past life selves. I'm not going to give you the full backstory, but I will set you up for that. Needless to say, I finally got smart and recorded one of them. We had been communicating with them as they had opened up a portal of entry to us to be able to communicate in our former selves or in our Celtic Druid selves. We're communicating back, and you're going to see also that my current biological mother shows up too. It was a trippy experience. We're going to give you that clip. It's about, I think I cut it down to about a 20-minute portion, but you're going to see how they communicate with us. And I'm going to tell you, to this day, if I ever doubt any of this that I'm going through, that we are experiencing, that time travel isn't real and true, that all things are happening at the same time, that we have past lives, all I have to do is go listen to this video. So I think you'll find it fascinating. So that's what we're going to cover today. I'm going to give you the backstory here in a second. But anyway, thank you so much for joining me today. For those of you who are new to my channel, I'm Carolyn Zaiser. I'm a channel, I'm a distance energy healer, and I'm a spiritual awakening mentor. And I offer these videos for your assistance during your awakening and your ascension journey. So hopefully you'll take something away from this video today that resonates with your journey. Like I always say, take what resonates, toss the rest aside. You're putting the puzzle pieces together for the puzzle of your own journey. So hopefully today you'll take something away. And I would love it if you like, share, and subscribe as well, because that helps me reach more people who may be able to take advantage of some of this information in their own journey. And if you have not already, check out the link below where you can sign up for my email list. You actually get a video on how to create flow in your body for health and wellness first. And then what it does, it takes you to my email list. I don't use it much at all for promotional purposes. I use it to give you a channeled message each week from the Light Keepers, who are a group of angelic beings I channel for your awakening and ascension journey. I've been channeling them since 2016. And what I've done is I've created this email list so that you get a supportive message every Friday for the week coming up. It's a beautiful poetic message, but I also add some other information in there too. And hopefully you'll join me there too for some more supportive free content. So thank you so much for joining me today. So here's what we're going to do. You're going to see the video from Jennifer and myself. You're going to see my referencing the next part of the video, which is the bringing through of the Celtic Druid lives. And you're going to see how they communicate, which I'm going to talk about here in a second. And then I'm going to wrap up. Okay, so the setup for the part where you're going to see me talking on Zoom with two other women. So one who you know, Celeste, if you watch the former videos that we've done together in the past. So back in 2000, I want to say it was early 2019, and I don't remember how this happened, but we came together after very specifically getting so much detail on our past lives together as Druids in the very ancient Celtic Druid times. We have a ton of detail, a ton of history, because we all three receive information. And if you've ever channeled with anybody, and if you ever want to really kind of start channeling, get together with somebody else who wants to do this too. You'd be amazed at what happens when somebody gets a little bit of information and then it builds, it builds, it builds. There's just energy that takes off and assists you when you have another person they're available to, which is why I love doing these videos where I work with someone else too, because it enhances the energy and the ability to be able to channel that information. Anyway, so we had already well established that we had these lives. We had been getting together once a week. I want to say it was for about 3 or 4 months in early 2019 to really just kind of talk about things, and we were exploring these lives. We also had the really cool experience of assisting a few spirits where Sarah, she's the other gal you're going to see on here, or you're actually going to hear from her, that were in her area. Those who were kind of stuck after they had passed, we helped them pass over. Too bad I didn't record that. I don't know where my brain was, but needless to say, they were very, very profound. That led us to understanding that wherever she goes and lives, a portal will open up. She doesn't do anything to make this happen, as I understand. Portals of energy just follow and flow to her. And I know she's had this happen more than once, but this was very, very, very profound. What started to happen is we started to, when we'd meet, we'd hear chimes. We'd get together and she'd say, the chimes have started. She goes, I'm pretty sure they mean something because we're talking about our Celtic Druid lives. Long story short, we figured out they were trying to communicate with us. And then it got really wild. What started to happen is, and we're each in our own homes, in our different locations, they started to communicate with us through knocking. I am not kidding. It sounds like this. I mean, they're that loud. They're that loud. And when we first started this, Sarah was like, because it was, the knocking was happening in her location, because she had the portal of entry. Okay, we'd hear the chime. Sometimes she'd hear the owl, and she's like, I think they're here. So that would be our sign. Well, we did a few of these sessions together and never thought about recording it. And what you're going to see in this video, I've cut out the part where we're kind of just chatting and nothing's happening, right? But for the vast majority of this, a lot is happening. But we act like this is the most normal thing on earth. We seem really nonplussed about the whole thing, like, oh, they're back and da-da-da. I mean, it's really kind of funny, and I sit and I think, oh my gosh, because we're not in communication with them anymore. We kind of ended that whole group thing we were doing. Needless to say, you're going to see us communicating with them. I finally got smart and said, we need to ask them questions. Let's take advantage of this, because we were just sitting there. And so I started to facilitate asking of questions. And that's where you're going to come in. You're going to see, I didn't record the early part. We come back in and I say, can I ask these questions again so that I can record this? And they eventually that definitely said yes. And then they start responding. My biological mother in this life shows up in that life. We knew she was involved, but we didn't understand the extent. And we find all of that out. Needless to say, what they were doing, so because they told us this in another session, is that in the early times that they were joining us, they would have one show up. And then eventually they all ended up showing up, but somebody would stay back there, and essentially hold space. And they had a ritual. The whole process was very specific and very serious so that the others could travel and present themselves to us through sound. And they answer questions for us. You will see that. So the knocking is actually, that you're going to see, comes from, actually you're going to hear it, but it's actually originates where Sarah is, because that's the portal, okay? I don't know, what else do I have to tell you? I made some notes. There's a little bit of a noise that you're going to see. I just want you to know it's a clunking around in the early part of it. She ends up taking her dog out because the puppy was making a lot of noise. Let's see, what is that? Oh, you'll see a part in there too where we talk about a Ouija board. Yep. And you'll see what happens there. This all also has to do, just the context around this has to do with us actually potentially working together. Remember, this is back in early 2019. Us potentially working together and using runes and understanding how to use them. So we talk a lot about runes, and we talk a lot about the process of us potentially working together, adding modalities into what we're going to be doing. But the point in me showing this to you is the communication that we're having with them. It's off the charts. I will never doubt this journey again. And when I always think, oh, wait a minute, I can't doubt that. I can't doubt any of this because I've had so much magical stuff happen, as we all do. But when I think about this is such a unique experience, and I hope you enjoy this today. So we're going to launch into Jennifer and me talking. I may do a little part for you where we segue into the next one, probably not, and you're probably just going to jump from Jennifer's and my conversation straight into the three of us talking. And then I'm going to finish out with you at the end. So enjoy the video today. And again, like I say, I hope you take something away from it too. But anyway, how have you been? What's been going on?
Oh my God.
I want to hear this update of you.
Seriously, we haven't talked in a little while, but even more so, even in the past, we not talk for a week, and I'm like, oh my God, I could write a book with what's happened in this last week, la la la. Okay. And not that I'm trying to do that anymore. I'll get back to that. But this past, we haven't talked in a couple of weeks, probably at least. Yeah. And my goodness, I feel like time here is even more just I'm not really sure what day it is, time it is. I'm even having a hard time. I'm hearing voices and I'm hearing the words they're saying, but my brain is not putting it together because I'm so out of resonance with the language, even because my telepathy is so on right now. Mm-hmm. So time is really, but I know there's a calendar and there's, my kids are doing stuff. And so I know that's happening, but in the background, in the ethers, okay, I feel like hundreds of years have gone by in just a short period of time. I feel like I am embodying or holding the energy of my multidimensional being that is so either future or something that I have just so many years. I mean, I was saying millions even. I feel like I have millions of years of me expanded to that just have they're here. And I have, I'm still holding somewhat of the veil here, but there's stuff going on in my energy, in my visuals, in my memories, in my with different artifacts, different time periods, that are just, I really feel like I've been somewhere for a million years. And
I have two things coming up that I don't understand, but we can discuss based on what you just said, if we want to, and see if we can unpack this. What I'm getting when you just said seems like a million years have gone by. They gave me this visual of the collective. Oh, see, I can't explain these things. It's so hard. Like we feel right now, we're feeling a lot of us, well, most of us, where kind of time feels like it's gone fast, but then we feel like it hasn't, and it's been a nice long summer. It's weird. It's like it's not fast time, it's not slow time, it's just kind of is. And what they're saying to me, they're trying to give some indication of, even though in humankind, what's looking like a different experience of time than we've ever had before.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, they just said the words warp speed. We're actually behind the scenes moving at a warp speed. I don't understand this because it doesn't feel like this, but time is all mixed up. It's almost like there's this time we live in, but then underneath this, what's really pulling us along is this other idea of time. And they're talking about warp speed. We're actually moving faster than we think we are, but we're not, which is why we're getting confused about time in general and kind of feeling like I just said in many cases. Okay, and we can unpack that. But they also said to me, which I think we know this, but I just want to see what you think, is your millions of years, all these things happening, you're actually experiencing the collective part. You're because of who you are in this journey, right? And so does this resonate at all? Like you're experiencing the global, not even global, the collective experiences. Like, does it feel like they're trying to show me okay, there's said IMAX movie. If you're in an IMAX theater and there's one of those, like, I don't know, like Star Wars or you're out in space movie, boom, 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 everything's coming at you. That's what they're showing. And does any of those two things resonate at all?
Well, so this is what I'm thinking. Yes. At one point I said, okay, we have multiple lives and we're doing, but and then I realized, there's something about this life, and we were told for a while, this is the most important life you'll ever have, something like that. And then I started to realize, wait a minute, there's not really parallel lives that happen before or after. It is a life where we're almost experiencing all of our history, of all of our incarnations, of all of our existence, right? Yeah. So in this life, it's a special kind of life that this particular energy is. That's why we're kind of coming in as maybe our more elevated self, but in a veil as well too. It's the whole thing. It's like pulling all of our history together, doing it in one lifetime. So even the eons that we've spent all over the place, it's still coming in energetically here. Yes. Now let's take a being that maybe holds a large collective, right? And you take that, or maybe a being that maybe holds just, the blueprint or something that is the energetic being of what emanates to all beings, for instance.
Yes.
And they're going from beginning to end, from alpha to omega in one lifetime, and having all of that stuff either integrating or whatever we're doing. I'm not even going to put a label on that because I think it's more than we even can imagine. In a lifetime. Now you think about in one lifetime, that's a lot of stuff to go through, right? For an individual.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So as we're doing that, and more we're expanding to more and more of our future self, kind of, it's the whole thing. It's like the entirety of our existence as, and they remember when they were telling you that, what do we do when it's all over? Well, we just do it again, right? Or whatever. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Well, that's an option, I guess. But it made me realize there is a point at which we're almost like experiencing the whole thing in a lifetime. And that is massive amounts of experiences and learning that we've done all over the place.
And see, I think that ties to the things we talked about earlier that we hit on in a lot of our videos of how past lives are collapsing into us. Our soul fragments are coming back to us. Timelines are collapsing. It links to this.
I think so. Yeah.
I think so too.
Agreed. And I don't think everything went exactly as we thought. I think there was a couple of things that occurred that we might feel like, whoops, what happened there? That's what I'm doing. I got some stuff going on here. I don't know what's going on. Yeah. But it's all working itself out. And it's really interesting to see more and more and more how what you've done in your life, what you've done in your other lives, things that we might think of as a like I'm finding somebody that I like read a story about, for instance, at one point. And then, it's ancient, it's supposed to be like kind of an ancient history or, several hundreds or thousands of years ago. And, who their being was or whatever. And then I will be having an experience in my human life and I will be working and I will see, I think I need some help maybe in this area. And I might create a particular type of guide that can help me do X, Y, and Z that I need right now. And then I will realize maybe a year later that I created the character that I was reading about without knowing it. And that actually is that person there that I created ended up having this whole journey without ever thinking about that, had this whole journey that somehow that sounds like that. And then I realized they'll actually can look where's the origin point of their creation. They can find it. Oh, that was Jennifer in her doing that there. They're like, what? So these kinds of things that makes you realize you are so really time is so irrelevant in much of this. Yeah. It's really about the energetic complexity, openness, vastness, and timelessness of your being.
It totally is.
From top to bottom, even when you don't think that you're advanced, even to the highest advance that you could ever believe yourself to be, you still are contributing to the totality of you.
Yeah.
It's really amazing.
Something when you were talking about that led me to, whether it's connected or not, it led me to imagination and manifestation.
Yes.
And what I've noticed, we haven't talked, I bet it's been a month. Within this last couple months, I'll say, I've noticed that, with the Aquarian age energies that we're in now, rather than these Pisces age energies, right? We're more into those energies. Like I literally am starting to see where people, like clients and people I know and myself, for example, these pieces of things we've wished for, desired, or thought would be neat that we've set in the back of our minds are starting to show up and manifest.
Yeah. And sometimes in real peculiar ways that you would never expect, right?
Yes. So, but what I'm seeing happen is with like these little bits and pieces of like people's, it goes to that fork in the road idea in the video that was done. I think that was one of my energy upstates, that the solstice was a fork in the road for this year. And we were starting to select the life we were meant to live. It's all tie into this, what we're talking about. And then as we start the desires that we've had, even like from the long past, people are starting to see them come to fruition. I mean, to really, I have so many people I know, even my gal who trims my hair, who I haven't seen since April, she has shifted and changed so much. And mind you, she knows what I do, but she's not, we don't really talk about that. Right. Her entire life just got flipped upside down because she chose to do it, right? And now she's finished up her relationship. She's in her 20s. She finished up her relationship. She had a stable life. At least, that's what she had indicated. She said, nope, I ended the relationship. Nope, I'm moving to San Diego. And this is what I'm going to be doing. And everything has changed all in the last 2 months. I said, that's what's happening to people. These things are clicking in place because of that fork in the road. But it ties a lot to what you're talking about. And I'm probably not making a very good link to it, though.
No, you are. It's funny, actually. We're sitting here talking, having epiphanies. I'm hearing the conversation that they're having as they're looking at some of the stuff I'm saying. It's so wild. If you could tap in and hear yourself, you sound just like you. You're so funny. It's like you sound just like yourself.
Oh, great!
But you're like kind of more. It's a little different, but I can definitely tell she might do that for my benefit too. But yeah, it's like a. We were just talking and like several concepts, I'm like, ooh, we need to look at that. Oh, we need to look at that because we're dealing with some interesting time anomalies time, space, time kind of anomaly displacements at the moment, right now, in the larger scheme of the whole, history of everything that is, right?
Yep.
And how certain events, certain things happened that were maybe like large energies kind of just, they thought disappeared off the map and they couldn't find them anywhere.
They keep showing me as we're talking this idea, and they're giving me, they want me to give a metaphor of what is happening with time right now.
Okay.
And they're showing a river. And you know how a river, you can use, like I grew up in the Mississippi, so this is a perfect metaphor. I mean, because the Mississippi is rocking and rolling all the time, but it doesn't always look like it. On the surface, it can just look really nice, but underneath it's cruising, right? It's moving. Well, that's what they're talking about with time, is what's on the surface is us and living our life. But we kind of notice something's like a little like this, weird, backwards, forwards, time doesn't exist, all this. But what's happening is they're talking about the current of time. They just said the current of time is actually moving faster. We're being, gosh, it's almost like we're veiled to that extent so that we don't get, they just said turned upside down. Oh, I have chills. Whoa, turned upside down. So this idea of time moving through this continuum of the ascension journey, this is fascinating. I've never gotten this information before, and I want to see what you think, is we're actually moving faster through the ascension than we actually know. It just doesn't feel or look like it on the surface, but we're noticing little things in our day-to-day with how weird time is.
Yes.
Does that make sense to you?
Totally agree. That's what I was saying. Here on the surface plane, it's still for me like a little bit, maybe more than most would be able to really handle and be comfortable with. But under the undercurrent, that's what I'm saying. I feel like millions of years are in this background,
Yes.
kind of the undercurrent big time. And it's happening so rapidly that if I ever like sink into it, I'm like, wow, if you really go into it, it's a lot fast. Just like they were saying IMAX, maybe I'm down in it a little bit more, it's IMAX flying at you all the time, that's absolutely true. It makes so much sense.
Good, because we're that is the first time.
Just holding ourselves in the top, and trying to, I'd say for most people who aren't like really doing this kind of, or don't want to do this really deep, or just staying in that really super calm space, not trying to be too entrenched in structure.
Yep.
And really just
keep in that now moment. Try to stay in that now moment.
Yeah.
Yep. So I want to go to something else. Okay. So something I wanted to talk to you about. You've been writing me a couple times about like what's going on out there, and I hope I'm phrasing that right. Like bigger picture, collective, like do you want to talk about any of that and share any of that what you're receiving? I mean, I do energy updates, I do all this stuff. You're out there and you're out there regularly. I work with a lot of clients, so I'm working with them specifically. You're out there kind of collectively, big picture a lot, right?
Yes, I am out seeing a lot of what is happening. I do feel like it's moving in a very positive direction, but I also want to say there was or is I've observed that there are some very kind of large things that are being huge kind of platform system based massiveness that are kind of having to be like pulled, like, so it's a lot bigger than maybe we can feel.
Yeah, let me just add the visuals I'm getting, because when you talk I get visuals. So does this resonate? They're showing me blocks of energy, blocks, like big cubes, blocks of, does that resonate at all in some way?
Yes. Well, I don't want to speculate, but I have an idea that there might have been, let's just say possibly, maybe a point at which, sometime in the future we figure out how to travel time, right?
Yeah.
It's going to happen, right? And if we do it, chances are likely they're traveling back to this time, right? And more advanced times are traveling back. So, and maybe discovering these ways of doing like little leaps, maybe, or maybe even teleporting themselves somewhere. They figured out how to do that. Oh, that's cool. We're trying that.
Well, and let me stop you real quick, because I think I sent this to you, or at least told you about it, is the recording I actually have of when I was with Celeste and Sarah of
Yes.
the Celtic lives. They came through a portal and they were communicating with us through knocks, and it's very obvious. It's not. It's a conversation.
This is the really, yes, but this is the really amazing thing about that is all of the things that we learn here, kind of like how to manage our energy, what to do, how the best way to manage ourselves and think, even with like quantum physics and things like that. We're talking about some of these discoveries, even like trying to upload consciousness to a cloud, for instance, some of these type of futuristic sounding that really sound amazing at the time. Oh, we figured out how to do this, maybe like looking glass technology, some of these devices and things that they've done, and they started to utilize them. And really in a still in the mindset that they have going somewhere and doing something is necessary. And so that has been used. And some of the things that I'm working on, believe it or not, are finding where some of these technologies in the future, they had effects that were not known to them at that time when they started using it.
Yeah.
So they had some backlash from these things happening when they were taking chunks of time space and moving them to another time space to jump time and not realizing they were rearranging.
Well, that's the blocks of energy I'm seeing.
Yes. So then and I feel like my higher understanding that knows this stuff, just like I always have, but it's really coming in. I'm like, so I'm bringing the kind of like my knowing that to move and see things in different time spaces, you don't actually get in a body and go anywhere. You do it all from your being, sitting still, and that way you're not rearranging all of this stuff, right? So there's all of these really kind of cool technologies that they are talking about that some have said, it's not that far in the future for this or that or the other, and realizing what actually will happen to the fabric of reality at its highest understanding out of any kind of distortion, what would actually occur to trying to do some of these things the way that they're doing it.
Okay.
And some of those are being corrected now, believe it or not. We're not even there yet, which.
Okay, that's what I want to ask you. So what you're saying is you're talking about those future technologies, but they're actually they're happening in the future, which is already which is just all happening at the same time, correct? Is what you're saying.
Right.
So those technologies, it's kind of like that show, oh my gosh, what was the name of the Netflix show where they time traveled from the future back to present day?
Travelers.
Yeah. Travelers. Yeah.
Travelers.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, because
what I wanted to say real quick is if I ever doubt in my journey that, first of all, those past lives exist. Secondarily, that everything's happening at once. All I got to do is play that video and go, oh my God, I cannot believe that actually happened.
Well, look how you did it, though. It was right there in your house. There was no time, there was no technology involved. It was you utilizing what you already have, being a source, a source being, and you were doing it without a time machine, without anything, because you know that you don't actually have to go anywhere to communicate with another dimension, because you are a multi-dimensional being. It's all built in, right?
Yeah, but the only thing is, what's interesting in that case, and not to spend time talking about this, but is we had 3 people involved on Zoom. The one gal was key to this, and the 3 of us actually spent our lives together in these Celtic lives, and we had to 3 be together to actually be able to have them communicate to us, which was super weird. Sarah walked out of the room to deal with her dog. They didn't respond to us. I was still continuing to ask questions, and they waited till Sarah came back. It had to all be, but they literally came through a portal of energy for us, or a gateway they'd opened up, and we could tell when they were coming because we would hear chimes outside her house. So she had the portal. So the point being is we actually had physical events happening all the time, all these knocks and everything. So the only technology we had was, again, Zoom. Isn't that interesting, right? That what happened with us.
Yes.
The facilitator, if you want to call it that, was Zoom.
It's very kind of it's kind of trippy to put your mind around this, but in basic terms, it's like finding things that are so advanced, even the most advanced, something that we think is so far into the advanced future that we're like teleporting ourselves, or phasing out and phasing in another location, just like that. Even those are our future selves from that are even saying, okay, this was kind of the effect it had, and we're going to look at that maybe and see if there's some corrections or little tweaks that we need to make around that in case there was an effect we didn't want going on there. So that's why I think I am for sure, and I believe that many, many more are going to, if not already, very soon, start to feel their very, very advanced soul selves, dimensions, or facets, dimensional facets, whatever, start to come into this because we're doing that beginning to end. Okay.
Well, I think that's already happening with the past life integrations, the things with the soul fragments,
and then, future lives.
Right. It's a whole other thing to actually. It's one thing to feel things happening, like upgrades, and you can kind of feel, but to actually have, which I think people can. I don't know if I'm getting this. This is maybe why they brought the video in of the Celtic ladies that we were, like, actually maybe be able to start having physical manifestations of these selves, because is what I'm very much getting. The one thing I also want to make a quick side note on, and I'll come back to this, is when the Celtic women were coming through to us, remember those 3 Celtic women were us in what we call a past life. Well, clearly they're out there doing their thing now. It was a very serious process that they were using to get to us, and they were not joking around. And if I do post this video, you'll see where they don't laugh about this, because we were kind of having fun. And it was very much, one was back holding space while the others traveled through a ritualized ceremony. Ooh, I just heard that. Whoa. Anyway, what I'm back to my point, which now I'm probably going to have to publish this. I'll have to see how I can figure that out. But anyway, point is what I'm getting is that we may start experiencing, they keep talking about physical manifestation, like my example of the Celtic women. I don't know how it'll work out. Does that resonate at all?
Yeah, it does. Absolutely, yes. I think it's amazing too, because some of these interactions that we have are like, what did that mean? What did they say? And then I kind of sit back and I realize, it wasn't the message necessarily, it was the experience for me to see what is possible. So it wasn't so much, I didn't get what they meant or what they said, I wasn't understanding. It's not about that. It's actually having the experience and seeing, oh my goodness, that's how that works. Okay.
This is possible.
And you start to remember. Yes.
Yes, because time travel, I guarantee you that I had that experience, and we had a couple experiences. We recorded one of them, which we act like, oh, here they are again. We're talking to them again, like it's no big deal. I mean, if you watch that video, it's kind of like, we're just like, okay, whatever. But what I've now realized, since that's been shut down, we're not connected to them anymore. I realized how we can time travel. We can time travel. We just don't understand how to make it happen. And they had a ritual and a process that allowed for that.
Yeah, we can look into other periods of time almost like through a window. And we can be kind of in that center point that we were talking about. A lot of times when I focus in and I try to do it, much of what I know just comes in and I start seeing it. So I'm not having to necessarily strive for it, because my being is just being my being, right? And it is really sitting in one spot, really being in one 0 point now moment almost, where you're in the center, like we talked about, and you're bringing them to you, and you're not like going and trying to find them. So even like with time travel, other multidimensional beings, other places, eras, experiences.
Oh, that's good.
It's you sitting here, and sometimes I'll visualize myself kind of moving it. It's just a huge, huge bubble around me, massive bubble around me. Everything that exists, I can get to any of it by just sitting peacefully here and bringing it to me, right? It's all here. And I just bring it into myself, and I do what I need to do there, and then it's part of the whole thing. And I am not trying to strive to go and get it, because we can do these things, right?
I used to have a portal in my house. Do you remember when the ferry went by and all the
yes,
okay, it was like 2 months worth of crazy town in my home, and I recorded all of it. It was like, I just turn on the phone and there'd be like literally 100 orbs go by me. And then the ferry shows up, and then I had mystical mist show up. I had a blue light. I had everything. Anyway, finally one day I said, no, we're not doing this anymore. Bye-bye, everybody. I shut the thing down. I don't know what I did. All I did was I just said, no, we're not doing this. And I did a thing. And guess who cannot get an orb in her house for the life of her now at all? And I thought, well, I could open up the portal again. I don't quite know how to do that, but, and then I thought, that's probably not a great idea. I don't know. I don't know how it opened up in the first place at all. It may have been over the winter solstice.
Anything is possible. Anything is possible. Even things when you're not necessarily exactly like, oh my God, I remember exactly how to do this. It is, you are a creator being, so you can do things with intention, right? Yes. And specifically what you want to see, do, whatever. I've been myself noticing many interiors of structures, ships, they're like stations, artifacts, things that I have a place there, you know, it looks like mine when I go, when I can see it and I can feel the floor move. When I get like I'm there and the floor will move a little bit underneath me, even though I'm still here, I can look around, see my house, but I know I can see that too. And I can feel my body is there. So I'm multi-locating. So I'm here, but I'm also there. And I can feel the difference of the floor and the gravity system there, right?
Oh, yeah.
So starting to be able to do that and be in these other places at the same time, realizing there's so much. Even the other night, let me tell you, this is a little bit crazy. I'm sitting in my driveway, just relaxing. It's beautiful. The moon is out, even though the sun is still up. It's dusk, you know. And I just was being silly, you know, relaxing. And I said, "Hi, moon." And my chair moved a little bit like this.
I love it.
And I was actually talking to Enoch. I don't know if you're familiar with Enoch. Yeah, we were talking about something. I remembered something from him and we were chatting. And he's like, can you not do that? And I said, what's wrong? He said, we're on the moon. I said, what do you mean we're on the moon? And I looked back up and where the moon had been is over here now. And I'm still in my driveway. He's saying he's seeing us on the moon. And I am seeing us still in my driveway, feeling the moon and seeing that the moon has transferred about 30 degrees to over. And I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, can you just undo that? And I said, sure. And then the moon starts talking high and, you know, and they're talking, they're like, where is that coming? And it's just the moon talking to you. And it was just like,
oh yeah. Oh,
realizing how incredible it is, how actually easy this is, and how well we are connected. I know I sound like a complete lunatic right now.
No, because okay, no. So let me just add this real quickly so that you don't feel that way. The sun talks to me every morning on my deck. Every single morning. And it's the only entity or being that calls me by my first name. It always says, hello, Carolyn. But so no, I know. Yes. Well, that's the way it can be. Absolutely.
It was really wild too. And I had the feedback. I had a couple of different feedbacks. I had I was having a conversation and I was sitting in a chair and I was doing that. And I saw these several things happen at the same time. And I felt the change of under my feet or under my body, kind of a change of, you know, and he's telling me we're there. Yeah. And I'm like, you know, I'm not necessarily seeing it. I still was in my driveway, you know, sitting in my chair in my driveway, you know, enjoying the night air, having this conversation, watching the moon kind of move itself. So it was really amazing to me. These are the kinds of things I was saying. You know, what does it mean? It's really not about that. I believe that it's just trying to show and remind us what is possible.
Yes. And what they're telling me, I want to share this so that it's kind of on the ground stuff that people can use, is they're saying to me when you're talking about this, is that when we have, and we all have them, moments where, I don't know, like when you're driving, this is probably a good example. When you're driving and all of a sudden you're like, how did I get from here to here? And I was driving, you know, we've all kind of had that, right? Well, all that kind of stuff's more prevalent now. But what they're saying is everybody's doing this. They're just not, the veils, thicker, right? And so they're not recognizing any of the stuff you're recognizing and having happened. But guess what's happening? They're saying now all of what you're experiencing is happening more and more for people. So this kind of thing that humans would experience where, oh God, where did I just go? I was still doing this, but I wasn't here when I did that. kind of thing. You know, they were like quick little moments, or they drive time, or but they said that's you're gone doing that. But now we're going to be able to, like you just did, recognize those connections, recognize when you're doing that.
I was just, laughing because I'm starting to realize how anything's possible. Okay. It's just really, we are such amazing creator beings. Anything is possible.
And I think the biggest thing is opening up our mind. You remember, like at least in my early journey, and they always tell everybody this, creativity, imagination, use your imagination. Anything can be. It is. That's what they're trying to open this up to understand what you just said, is that anything is possible. And if we're adventurous, we don't hold on to fear. We experiment. We have fun with it. We have joy. We have a high vibration. Guess what? Oh my gosh, doors open.
Yes, they do. It's absolutely true.
So Sarah, I'm recording this because I wanted to try to show this to my mom. So I want to ask my mom a couple more questions so I'm going to ask them some of the same questions, if that's okay. Is that okay? Okay. What was that? So you don't want us to record this?
They're downstairs on the counter. Which counter? The tall counter by the sink. I'm not hearing anything.
Okay. So is it okay if we record this? Yes. Okay. Yes. So I just want to ask a couple questions because I'm going to show my mom here in this life so she can understand this better. So my mom in her Celtic life is there right now, correct? Okay, thank you. And I was her daughter in that life, and I was a Druid, correct? Okay. And my mother lived, you lived in Ireland. You were from Ireland, correct? Okay. And that's why it's important for us, or one of the reasons it's important for us to travel to Ireland, right? Okay. And then just a couple more questions. So, Mother, you were a healer and you helped birth babies, correct? Okay, thank you. And we are supposed to go to the Hill of Tara because did you do healing there?
What was that?
Charlie.
Oh.
That was a big yes.
Mm-hmm.
So did you do healing for like royalty? Oh, that's why. That makes sense.
For Robin and Dallin.
Was it Robin and Dallin? That's why we had the Hill of Tara.
The healer.
Oh my gosh. So the Hill of Tara, because that's where a lot of royalty would come to have ceremonies and things. Mm-hmm. So that's their, oh my gosh.
She was one of their healers.
And birthed the babies and oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm. I think she was renowned.
I gotta take this dog out. Hold on.
Okay, so what else do we want to ask my mom so I can show this to her? What else did we ask?
Well, let your mom know that.
Oh, so
the cat.
Okay, so
in my lap was her cat in that life.
So is that correct? So Celeste's cat was your cat, Mother, in that life? Is that correct? Are you all still there? Maybe they have to wait for Sarah to come back.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. Are you still there? Is everybody still there?
I'm here.
No, I meant our friends.
Oh.
We've lost contact. We thought maybe it's because you walked out the door, but I don't know. Are you all still there? Yes.
Very soft.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So the last question on this one is, so Mother, this was Celeste's cat was your cat, correct? Yes.
Yes.
So let's go back to the runes. because we were at this point where we were realizing we have to put the 3 together. Okay, but we have to understand what each of the runes means beforehand and learn those on our own, correct? And the meaning.
Yes.
And it's like pulling a tarot card for somebody, and then we'll come together, and that'll be part of what we will provide them as information, correct?
Yes.
Where is this leading, though? Are we not supposed to know that yet?
3.
What 3 must mean, that? Must mean, don't worry about that now?
I think it means us 3.
You know, but that doesn't answer the question. I mean, it does, what's it related to, is my point.
The power of 3. What does it lead us? The power of 3.
Oh, I see. So it'll just come together as we're together. Oh. Wow. So our task now then is to learn what the runes mean for Monday night, right?
Mhm.
Okay. So that's our homework. And to make our stones.
Make our stones. And then next Friday, we need to use our stones in our work for clients.
That's what they, yep. Yep.
Mhm.
So, and I'm sorry I want to ask this again. So Celeste, you said that there's like, the runes, they're all trees. They're all related to a tree, and then the tree has a meaning?
Yes.
Oh.
So each rune, each symbol relates to a specific tree that has certain characteristics.
When you say characteristics though, Celeste, what do you mean? Do you have an example? Because I haven't read any of those. You mean the characteristics of the tree itself, or?
Yes.
So
Yes.
like, let me make something up. So say it's hemlock, and I'm making this up. Green needles or shaggy bark, or is that kind of thing we're talking about? Characteristics?
Here's an example. Hawthorn. Hawthorn is spiky.
Okay.
So whatever it's dealing with is prickly, it can hurt. But hawthorn always has to do with things of the heart, whether physical or emotional.
So it will tell us that? This tells us that in this, what we're going to learn. Oh, okay. Good. I think this is, and maybe I'm going too far, but I think this is leading us to actually do rune readings. Yeah. So we're going to do big time. I think we're going to do big rune readings. Like it's going to be a deal. No. What is this leading to? I guess I won't worry about it.
You were on the right path with that we're supposed to do rune readings.
That's true. So maybe it was the way it was phrased. So it is a true statement. We are to do rune readings. And I did word that kind of weird, so at least we know that. What does this have something to do with the missing knowledge, though? So we still have to find out the missing knowledge of what was buried in that temple, correct? No.
It's part of the stones.
Once we do the ritual for the new moon, the missing knowledge will be imbued into the stones.
Oh, that's why we're creating the stones.
Exactly.
Oh. Makes sense.
Oh, shoot.
What else are we going to ask them? They're here. It's like, I feel like such a dummy. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
What time is it, by the way?
It's late.
It's late.
Oh, God, it's 11:30. They would just stick around. I hate to leave them. What else do we want to ask before we leave? Anything that we have questions about of just a general nature?
I could, yes.
Huh? They don't like relationship questions, so.
I have a question.
Cool.
So I'm signing up to complete a university degree, basically.
Oh, wow, great.
Herbalism. Is that a thing? Should I do it?
Good, good.
But one of the things I was going to ask is, since each of us have our own spin or our own take for our healing modalities, I was going to ask if herbalism and aromatherapy are yours.
Oh, that makes so much
That,
sense.
or part of yours. I mean, you have so many more gifts than that, but that is how you are going to help the collective.
Oh, you know what I got?
What?
Plants talk to you.
Oh, yeah, I talk to my plants all the time. Yes, they do.
Mhm.
Talk to my trees and my plants. And they will tell
Well,
you
they-
exactly what they need.
They talk to Sarah.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, so you're basically saying you just like with the owl then, you can use it to decide what a person needs, right?
Yes.
Yes.
That's cool.
Sarah is supposed to
Yeah, that's
become
cool.
an herbalist.
That makes so much sense. Because see, you've been a scientist too. This all makes so much sense. So since we've talked about those two, am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? That was a yes? Okay. So I don't need to go learn something more right now. Is that correct? Another modality? No. Good. Okay. Thank you very much. That's good to know.
I think we misinterpret that question.
What?
You said, I'm not supposed to go learn another modality. Is that correct?
Oh, and they said no. Oh, thank you. Okay, let's redo that. So, okay, how do I want to say that? So, am I supposed to go learn another modality to add to what I'm doing? What is it?
Oh, that's interesting. Is it the runes?
Yes.
That's it. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'll use my runes in my own individual practice for healing.
Yes.
I'll add that in. Oh, is that right? I'll add it into my current. Oh, I like that because I sit on the floor anyway.
Will I be using the stones in my practice?
See, I think we all are. So we're each going to use the runes in our modalities. And you're going to use the runes with yourself once you do your herbal thing.
I don't know.
Is that true?
Ask.
Will Sarah use the runes in her work? Yeah. I
Yes.
figured we both all will. So will I be starting to use the runes right away? No.
No.
Okay.
So we start using the runes in our work for other people. And then as we practice and become more familiar, we will be guided to then use it in our practice. Okay.
And I think we're just going to know, kind of how you know.
We're going to, because not only are we using the power of 3 and we're practicing with each other and getting to know each other's energies, but we're also going to be practicing understanding the runes and what their meanings are.
Yes.
We are integrating them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's right. We're using the practice sessions to integrate the runes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I'm. Do you remember? I only did this once ever. This was my only dabbling ever until 4 years ago in all of this. When I went to a seance where you had a Ouija board.
Oh
my
God.
I didn't even know what I was doing, and we didn't even finish it. That's as much experience as I've had to any of this until 4 years ago. Isn't that hilarious? I kind of feel like we're playing with a Ouija board. That's what's funny, right? No, it's not funny. Sorry.
This is super, super powerful stuff.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so one last question. Are we supposed to use the stones and practice on our own?
Oh,
Do we do this every day?
for ourselves?
Yes.
It's like that. You're reading, but they have specific meanings then. And how they land, though, we will interpret that.
Yes.
Mhm. And it creates a relationship between us and the stones, so that
They'll start talking to us then.
they start talking to us and we gain trust in them.
Oh, I gotta go get stones I like then. So we'll use them each day to practice and to practice a read on ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
All right, there you go. I hope you enjoyed this video today. I'm going to remind you of my services, purplerainhealing.com, where you can get your own channeling through a variety of services that I offer. Whether you add distance energy healing into that or just have distance energy healing on its own, I do channel an email summary for you on those sessions. I also offer channeled sessions, whether it be you're going through spiritual awakening and you know it and you need some guidance. I do that in single sessions, and I do it in the mentoring, where basically what we do is we continue through time as you wish to work with me. By doing the mentoring, you also get a 10% discount from a single session. I also offer channeled guidance for those of you who don't know what spiritual awakening is, don't really understand what it is, but you've been guided to me, to YouTube, and you've also been guided into like understanding more about spirituality. I offer channeled messages for you too. So essentially, I help you along your journey, bringing in information from your angels and your guides, your higher self, the Akashic records, and we start to unfold things for you. As I always say, you take what resonates and toss the rest aside, but these are powerful, powerful sessions. And if you'd like to work with me, I would love to work with you. So just check out purplerainhealing.com. There's a form you can fill out if you're interested in pursuing it. I also offer a 15-minute complimentary consultation if you're not sure what you want and you just want to chat about my services. All right, thank you again so much for joining me. I wish you well in the coming week, and I'll see you in the next video.